Ford v Ferrari. Carroll Shelby, Matt Damon, is a professional racer who is forced into early retirement due to a heart condition and goes into car sales. Warm and likable, he's a natural salesman and a people person. He is also an incredible vehicle designer and engineer. Meanwhile, Ken Miles, Christian Bale, is a racer currently working as a mechanic and running his own shop to support his wife Molly, Kytriona Bath, and son Peter, Noah Jupe. He tells it like it is and sometimes gets customers angry, but he doesn't sugarcoat anything. At a race, Ken is told his car does not meet regulations and begins angrily yelling at the race official. Carroll spots this and calms him down, but afterwards the two get into an argument and Ken throws a wrench at him. Later, the IRS comes and shuts down Ken's garage, and he's forced to give up most of his racing in order to take care of his family. Meanwhile, at Ford Motors, Henry Ford II, Tracy Letts, is furious that sales are down and that his father's company is in danger. He begins taking pitches from his underlings. Lee Iacocca, John Bernthal, pitches him an idea: the sexiest cars are race cars, like FERRARIs. He posits that, if Ford can win the Le Mans, the 24-hour race, they will be at the top. In order to do that, they fly to Italy. In order to offer the struggling Ferrari a deal, they will buy the company and let Enzo Ferrari, Remo Giron, maintain control of the racing division. Ferrari uses this offer to get Fiat to make a good offer, and they buy Ferrari. Ferrari tells the Ford businessmen to shove it and calls Henry a fat pig. When they get back, Henry makes them relay in detail what Ferrari said, and he becomes more determined than ever to beat Ferrari. He decides they will start their own racing division. Lee approaches Carroll, as the only American to ever win at Le Mans, if he would be the head of their racing team, designing and testing the cars. Carroll agrees and goes to Ken, the best driver he knows, to take part. When Molly sees Ken heading out with Carroll, she angrily demands to know the truth. He tells her that he's been offered great pay to race, and she's thrilled. She just doesn't want him to ever lie to her. The team begins getting the car into shape for their first big race, but as it approaches, Ford Vice President Leo Beebe, Josh Lucas, approaches Carroll and tells them that Ken's rakish, unpredictable quality is not part of the Ford brand, and he can't be trusted to do press and represent Ford well, and that he can't be their driver. Carroll fights for Ken, but is eventually forced to tell Ken that he won't be racing. Ken is furious. When Ford loses the race, Carroll is able to convince Henry to allow him to rehire Ken. He goes to Ken's house and apologizes and asks him to come back, and the two end up getting into a physical fight on his front lawn. They finally give up, exhausted, and Molly brings them some cold sodas. Ken rejoins the team, who are working day and night trying to perfect the car. Lee warns Carroll that Leo is determined to have Ken removed from the team and intend on doing so on their next visit. Knowing this, when Henry and Leo arrive, Carroll locks Leo in his office and takes Henry out for a ride in the race car, and Henry experiences just how terrifying and exhilarating racing is. When they stop, he breaks down into sobs. Carroll offers him a deal: let Ken race at Daytona. If they win, he races at Le Mans in France. If they lose, Henry gets full control over Carroll's company. At Daytona, they find tough competition in a second Ford team that Ford had commissioned to see who engineered the best vehicle. Ken is able to win the race, securing their team the spot at Le Mans and ensuring Ken will drive there. In France, Le Mans approaches. Ferrari and Henry are both in attendance. When the race starts, Ken's door won't shut, slowing him down on the first lap. The car that they had designed was able to accelerate to really high speeds, but doing so burned out the brakes, so deep into the race the pit crew changes out the brakes. The Italians at Ferrari are furious, saying this is a violation of the rules, but Carroll points out the rule book says they are allowed to change parts, and it isn't specified which ones. Eventually, Ferrari's car spins out and crashes, leaving Ken in first place, and Molly and Peter are able to watch on TV as Ken completes his much-desired perfect leg. Leo, who had been trying to bypass Carroll and mess with their strategy, goes to Henry and suggests that the best image for Ford would be to have all three of their cars cross the finish together. He agrees, and Leo gives Carroll the order, who refuses. Carroll tells Ken the instruction, but tells him it's his race and he will stand behind him no matter what. At first Ken speeds to the victory, but he eventually relents and slows down, allowing the other drivers to catch up and cross the finish together. Everyone celebrates Ken's win until a technicality: he started behind another car, puts him into second, not first. Carroll is furious, but Ken accepts it and the two go off together. Weeks later, while training at the racetrack, Ken crashes and is killed. Carroll goes to his family's home and finds Peter, who he gives the wrench that Ken threw at him. He gets into his car and, despite his condition, speeds off into the distance. The postscript tells us that Carroll's cars won the Le Mans 4 years and that Ken was inducted posthumously into the Racing Hall of Fame. With sales waning and having been humiliated by Ferrari, Henry Ford II, Tracy Letts, decides that Ford will get into racing and win the prestigious Le Mans in France. Ford hires engineer and former racer Carroll Shelby, Matt Damon, to run and design the race car, and he hires his brash old friend Ken Miles, Christian Bale, to be the driver. Though some at Ford want Ken off the team because of his attitude, his skill proves out and he drives the car at Le Mans. Ford defeats Ferrari, and then Ken is asked to slow down on his substantial lead so that all of the Ford cars can cross the finish line together, making a great photo op for Ford. He relents and does so, but technically is given second place because another car had an earlier starting position. A few weeks later, Ken crashes on the training track and dies. Carroll goes to visit Ken's son and gives him a wrench that his father once threw at him.